Hey, and good Wednesday morning, everybody. Meteorologist Greg Majeski back with you on the Weather Nerds YouTube channel with the weather report. Your no nonsense weather guy here, giving you the facts without all that social media hype. You know, we don't treat every storm here as the storm of the century. We just want to keep you prepared. Our motto is real simple, to keep you prepared and not scared. We just want to make sure you have the facts so you can make informed decisions to keep you and your family safe. That's our motto and that's our goal here on the channel. Hey, if you're new and you haven't subscribed, please consider adding us as one of your weather sources. God knows there's plenty of us out there. So please go ahead and hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so you're alerted on future content. And for you regular viewers, hey, good to be back with you here for today. Had a weather conference I attended down in down in Atlanta with the National Weather Service out of Peachtree City. We were talking winter weather, and boy, does it feel very winter-like. This report is really going to focus on the fact that we're going to be seeing there's some snow. We'll have some snow out there in some places. No real big storm systems coming at us, but boy, is it just cold. We're just a plenty cold pattern that's going to be setting up, and the European really looking very cold toward the end of next week. So we're going to get into all that here in just a second. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at our specifics here for yesterday. Our warm spot was Boca Raton, Florida, 88 degrees. So it was Atlantis, Florida. And Aberdeen, South Dakota was our cold spot. Ooh, I'm sorry, I typoed that. See, wait, don't read this with your glasses off. It's minus 15, not minus 18. My bad. Anyway, minus 15 was our cold spot there up in Aberdeen. Okay? All right. Anyways, guys, you can see we've got, finally going to get some decent snows out of Sandy, out here in Denver. It took long enough, but they're finally going to get some snows out there. Some decent snows. We've got pretty active weather here out in the Intermountain region. And boy, we're going to be tapping some very cold air that's going to be coming down. Let me get over to this slide. Here we go. As we got some temperatures up here. Look at these temperatures up here this morning. They're below zero. We got some minus 6, minus 3, minus 9 up in here. So we got some below zero temperatures. A little early to be seeing that, but it is early December. It's just a little bit below normal, that's for sure. And like I said, we got this little system coming in here through the Rockies. Yes, we're going to finally get some snows there in Denver, and this cold air is going to be coming down. We're also going to see some rains here start to escalate here across the Gulf Coast. We're going to see another system kind of coming up this way once again, and we got a cold air wedge on top of that. So like us folks here in northeast Georgia, where I'm at, we're going to be cold, rainy, and 40s, low 40s probably on Friday. So it's like, if it's going to be cold and rain, let's go ahead and let it snow, I mean, come on. Anyway. Let's go ahead and take a look at the watches and warnings currently across the country. Let me get this switched over, my bad, as I was doing my local report. So let me switch this over here and go back to the national. Here we go. And you kind of see what's going on. Again, you can see where those winter weather advisories are here out in Colorado and northern New Mexico. Yes, Denver's going to finally get some snow. A little bit up here across Michigan as well. And we've got a little bit of fog out there in California out in the valleys right now. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about thunderstorms. We do have a little bit of that along the Gulf Coast. Nothing severe, but we do have some thunderstorms to watch here over the next few days. Again, as that system kind of moves out of the Gulf. This will be late today going into tomorrow morning. This will track along the Gulf Coast and then move across areas of Florida, Alabama, and Georgia here going into day 3. So we're talking Tuesday. So this is your Tuesday, day 1, or Wednesday. I'm sorry, today's Wednesday. Wednesday, day 1. Here's your Thursday. And then there's your Friday. So it's moving right along the Gulf Coast. Everywhere else, that's the only place where we're seeing some thunderstorms here over the next few days. All right, so let's go ahead and get into the model data here. Let's look at the latest NAM here, the 3-kilometer 6Z, as we're kind of looking at what's going on here across the country. Again, we're going to watch the system along the Gulf Coast, bringing some rains there. We've got a system out there in the Intermountain region. We're going to bring some pretty decent snows there across Colorado and into Wyoming, and another system coming in some rain out there into Washington State. So again, kind of watch that little timestamp there in the upper right corner. You see that little snow coming on through Colorado there. Denver getting some snow. Colorado Springs getting some snow. Finally for today, getting some decent snows in that area. There goes the rain along the Gulf Coast. Again, a few thunderstorms with this, but nothing too bad. Some snows up here across the area coming in for tonight across areas of the Great Lakes and going into New England as that cold weather continues to stay in there. We've got a nice little front coming on down there. That cold air kind of plushing right into the northeast there. And we got some intermountain snows in the northwest and rains there as well as the next system drops down. Looks like the Rockies are going to get some pretty good, decent snows here over the next few days. Also, watch some snows on the southernmost going into Friday. Again, we're talking about parts of Virginia, West Virginia, Kentucky. We've seen a little bit of snow in here. Not a ton of it, but there's some there. As we got a little bit of a wedge kind of setting up here across the east a little bit as that moves on through. So that's what we're looking here for the next 2 days. So 2.5 days. That's our current look through All right. Now, once this goes by, next week looks pretty dry. We're really going to tap into a northwest flow and really not going to see any major storm systems. So I think once this one across the southeast kind of kicks on out, I think we're going to start for some pretty decent weather next week. Now, here's your 60-day total or 60-hour totals here of rain here along the Gulf Coast. Some pretty decent rains there, the Northwest, and of course all this in the Intermountain region. This is going to be all snow out here. So as far as the snow totals here on the west, pretty decent. I mean, you're looking at some 9-10 inch snows up in the mountains. I'd say 5-6 inches getting into the Denver area as well. So some pretty good snows here across Idaho, Montana, Wyoming, getting into northern New Mexico. So pretty good snows here. Again, this is just through Friday, and then along the up along the Great Lakes, UP and Michigan, parts of New York State, Pennsylvania. Again, get a little snows. Even some down here toward Virginia. Again, that's that moisture coming up from the south. Again, some of that snows up there in the mountains in the Appalachians. So not bad for the next 60 hours. So temperature-wise, again, this is going to be the big theme here. Cold Arctic air. That's going to be, we're getting these one after another after another. We're definitely in a negative phase of the Arctic oscillation, and we're going to continue this negative pattern here. That's going to continue to be keeping us on the cold side. So the Arctic oscillation, which is basically a polar jet stream, is going to continue to be bringing the cold air across our area. The North Atlantic oscillation is also in a negative phase. So between the two of them, we're just going to keep that cold air in place. Again, just these temperatures here below zero up across the Great Lakes going into tomorrow morning. You kind of see it moving and migrating here into areas of the Northeast. And then we got even a more pronounced drop coming in toward next week. So again, I want to show you the jet stream pattern here. Again, look, this is the 500 millibar height anomaly, so you can kind of track the highs and lows. So here's our current cold coming into the Northeast. This high pressure out here in the west is going to shift inland. It's going to move inland here going into next week, and it's really going to buckle that jet stream into a very big pattern. So here's that one shot. We got another shot coming down here toward the early part of next week here across the east. And look at this big ridge start to fill out here in the west toward the end of next week. Look at this thing. Really takes sharp. Look at that. Very sharp. I mean, that is a very pronounced dip in the jet stream there. A little bit of the polar vortex breaking off here, getting into across areas of Pennsylvania, New York State there. You kind of see that here's the low kind of extending down this way a little bit. So a little bit of the polar vortex breaking off there a little bit, coming on down. Now, the good news is beyond this period, and I still suspect we're going to see this lifts on out, and notice here we're getting a little more of this warming here across the south. So I think the south gets a bit of a break. The pattern becomes not quite as amplified here as we hit after the 15th of the month. So I think we're going to see a little bit of a break there. Still get another shot coming in the northeast there, but I think the southern tier gets a little bit of a break. How long that stays in place remains to be seen. Typically when we get these cold weather patterns, it's maybe 2 to 3 weeks, and then we get a flip. So maybe the west gets the warmer. Right now, the west is going to stay very much on the mild side, and the cold air is going to stay in the eastern half of the United States. But it wouldn't surprise me if we get a bit of a pattern flip as we get closer to Christmas, okay? Because you just don't hold on to these things for that long. Again, just talking climatology here, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the next year. Again, we got those couple systems coming in out of the Rockies. Obviously, we got this rain across the Gulf Coast here coming in for this upcoming weekend. So we get this upcoming weekend. So here's this weekend. The system moves on up. But one thing for next week, not really seeing any big storm systems. It's going to be pretty dry across a lot of the country. We're going to have a very pronounced, again, that northwest flow is kind of coming in here. The Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America is going to be kind of closed off here. We got some rains up here in the northwest, but really no big storm systems going into next week. Just plain old cold. Here's that Arctic plunge coming in right down there. I mean, very, very cold here. I mean, this is 510. Height sitting around 510. That's going to be very, very cold. Down there at zero here with some of the temperatures across the Ohio River Valley. So that snow that's on the ground ain't going anywhere. And we stay cold right into the end of next week. And then we see a bit of a modification after that. All right, so let's look at your rainfall and outs. Again, this will be snow across the Great Lakes. Obviously, the Intermountain region will be snow. Heavy rains out there in the northwest, the Gulf Coast. Again, with that next storm system coming in for this Friday and Saturday. And that's about it. And then a lot of the country dry. Here's your 10-day snow totals. Intermountain region, obviously, we got a couple systems moving through there. The Great Lakes and the Northeast, that's where all the snow is. So we're getting a pretty decent snowpack or snow coverage here in the States. And why is that important? Because when you get the snow on the ground, when we do get these cold shots to come down, the air doesn't modify as much, okay? So it stays colder when the cold shots come down. Typically, if there's no snow on the ground, you get an Arctic plunge. The air modifies just a little bit, so it's not quite as cold. But if you get a good snowpack over there, for example, we're getting good snowpacks up in here, across this part of the country. When that cold air comes further south into the south, it's going to be colder because it's passing over the snowpack that's on the ground. That's why snow is a big deal when we track that. All right, so going into next week, again, this is the 10-day kind of look at the European. Again, that blue is below 32 degrees. That purple is below 0. So we got a very, as you can see, a lot of the country is going to stay with some very frigid temperatures here for most of next week. So look at these temperature warning lows here on this going this weekend. I mean, a lot of below 0 temperatures up here. Obviously, in the purple, we've had a few of that. I've seen as cold as minus 26 already on the last day of November. So, I mean, we're really seeing a cold start to the winter here across a big portion of the country, except for the West. And the Western pattern is going to change. So you guys, I think as we head toward after the 15th, the rainy weather will come back to California once that ridge breaks down. But it's going to take a little while, all right? And then we got this one big polar plunge. Look at this thing going all the way to the Gulf Coast. 7 o'clock in the morning, we got freezing temperatures all over the Gulf Coast. Teens and 20s across North Georgia. Single digits here across a big portion of the obviously with the snow on the ground, across Iowa, Illinois, and I even think this might be a little bit underdone, to be honest with you. I think it might be even colder than that, based off what we're seeing. So again, we stay cold right through next week, and then we should see things begin to improve. So let's look at the climate outlook here as we kind of wrap up this report here. Again, we're not going to see a whole lot in the way of precipitation here going into next week. Let me go back this up here. Next week, again, look how much of the country here is with below normal precipitation. Yeah, we're a little wet up in the northeast, but again, the Gulf is closed for business. We're not going to track anything here once the rains go by this weekend. Again, this is a 6 to 10 day outlook. So this is from the 8th to the 12th, and that'll continue straight through the 16th. All right, so remember that jet stream flow starts to move back up here as we go later in the month too. So that's where the precipitation is going to be. Now, as far as the cold is concerned, yeah, that pretty much tells the tale. We're a country and a half. Cut the country right in half. We're cold over here. We're warm over here. But it does begin to modify a little bit. Check out the 8 to 14 day. It starts to shift a little bit. And I think we're going to see warmer temperatures here across the southeast once we get past the 15th, 16th of the month. I think that begins to modify. It may stay a little bit colder up into the Great Lakes and Northeast. That may still favor, but we'll get a little bit there. And then we'll see if we actually get a pattern shift or not. One thing the long range was showing was some very, very cold air trying to build up across Western Canada and Eastern Alaska. And that when I watch for a cold charge like that to fill up there, that kind of favors me, I think, where we might see the pattern flip, where I see where you're basically what you're seeing here, where like that, we flip it as we go toward Christmas. That's what I'm anticipating for right now, but we'll see what happens. All right. Anyway, I appreciate you guys checking us out here for this morning. Who do we got out there this morning? We got Ryan. Good morning, Ryan. And Dunn, good to see you out there too. I'm trying to use my squinty eyes here as best I can. Is that Patterson? Patterson, yes, see you out there too. Good morning, guys. Appreciate you guys checking us out. Again, appreciate you guys staying with us here. We're up to about $35 on the earnings right now. So once I get it back up to 100, we'll put another buyout and see if we can get a few folks. I mean, I know the YouTube algorithm is really kind of a joke, and so is our numbers for that matter, because I only get like maybe 100 views on these. I'm supposed to have 8,000 subscribers, but only 100 get to see the broadcast because I don't think it ever populates into the YouTube feeds. It's just the nature of the beast with YouTube. But it's okay. I don't mind doing this. All right, you guys take it easy. Be good. Stay safe. We'll see you tomorrow. Now, Friday, I will not be here on Friday. I'm attending a digital conference up in Tennessee, a weather digital conference, really helping my local channel as I'm trying to build a local 24-hour weather channel for North Georgia. Got to go for that for Friday and on Saturday. So tomorrow will be the last one for the week, and then we'll be back again on Monday for next week as we really kind of track that cold air next week. Okay? All right, so we'll see you guys tomorrow. You guys have a great day. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.